Hey there, beasties. When your GM says roll for initiative, if you don't have a solid plan, that could mean the difference between life and death. So let's get into it. Now, as we all know, when you have a fight and your GM calls for that ever-exciting roll for initiative, we all have ideas of what we're going to do with our characters, and we all have our routines. But far too many times, I see these routines get disrupted because of different initiative numbers, things the monsters do, and the players sometimes just, oh, well, I guess there's nothing I can do. And that is not true. There's a lot you can do. And so many times I would see the rogues, like, they went first, which is cool. And, you get your enemies are off guard because you're going before them. But that's not always mean you should, because sometimes you want the fighter to get into position. You want them to get in there and soften up that opponent. Or if you have a barbarian or other ally that is going to help get you into combat. So don't just accept that this is the initiative order when it was rolled and that's what we're going to go with. And it's a judgment call. It really is, because there's going to be many times where you do want to go as high a number as you can get, go first, get in there, deal some wicked damage, and get back out. But as I said, there's also times where you're going to want to go in with an ally. You guys need to double team a monster. And having that ability to identify the biggest, baddest monster on the field and either decide we need to deal with this guy first and focus fire on them and bring them down, or are we going to try to isolate that monster, kill some of the lesser monsters, and then allow everyone to focus on that one. And so many things come into play during that. The terrain, there's some enemies with range attacks? Are there flying enemies? There's a lot to take in and account for. So looking and quickly assessing the situation, that's the hard part. And this is sometimes where it's really good for a character with a good, recall knowledge skill to be able to go first so that they can identify some of these weak points and call them out. It is a really big deal to know if your martial character should be trying to intimidate because their will is lowest, if they should be trying to grapple because they have a low fortitude, or if they should be trying to trip because their reflex is their lowest. So that all of those things need to be taken into account. And they really do influence the battle so much that allowing your allies, your ranged spellcasters that have spell attacks, you get that enemy grappled or tripped, they get a +2 where they already had a decent deficit because, they don't get that potency bonus that the marshals get to their weapons type thing. So allowing them a better chance to hit with some of their high damage dealing spells, very important. And don't be afraid to yell that out in game. That is a really fun thing to help immerse yourself in the moment. I think something people really tend to forget is this all takes place in 6 seconds. And I know we all like to sit there and think of the absolute most optimum thing we should do, but I honestly encourage all of you, your round should be over in a minute. It really should. You should be making the assessment of what you want to do and rolling it and getting to it. Because if it's taking longer than that minute, you're dragging out the game, for one. And two, those snap decisions lead to a lot more fun and entertaining experiences at the table because it's not the optimum thing. No one can think of the optimum thing in a split second. That said, you should have everyone's round to be thinking of what you're going to do. Of course, you have to deal with the right before your turn, something catastrophic happens and you're like, oh God, I have to go heal this guy or they're going to die. Or, something along those lines. You need to intervene to save someone's life. But it really just should be you making those very quick decisions as to what you're going to do. Your fighter is going to move here and attack and then try to trip, or if they have hopefully higher levels, you have feats that allow you to do these things and not have to deal with that multiple attack penalty, and you can attack and trip, or whatever it is you need to do, whether that be combat grab or what have you, and then allow those other characters that have not as good a chance to hit as you to get in there and capitalize on the advantage that you can provide. Now, you're going to find some groups don't necessarily jive together that well. There are issues with the classes and combinations, and that's kind of up to the group to figure out, how do we want to run this, as ourselves, not to the GM, but guys, what are we gonna do? Like, there's a bunch of us that are ranged combatants. We can't just all be at ranged and then cross our fingers and hope when the enemy runs at us, it's not us, it's the other guy. And then they slowly get dropped one by one as you all run around like crazy, taking pot shots at enemies. So you really need to figure out that strategy, and a couple of them, because this is, there's always going to be things that interrupt it. There's the old joke, everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face. And this is true. When you roll that initiative, getting your team set up in the order they need to be in is really important. That doesn't mean you can't have a plan and change what is going on based on who goes first. If you go first, we're going to do this. If I go first, we're going to do that. But having that called out and having that, just like any military unit, no one goes out on a mission and is like, oh, we're just going in, don't worry about it. There's whatever, everyone do what they want, and hopefully we come out on top. That's the most unrealistic part of the game when you are trying to actually get into what you are. You are a elite team of combatants that have impressive skills that can get in, accomplish these great things, and get back out. So working together is pivotal. There's no less than hundreds of YouTube videos telling you this exact thing when concerning Pathfinder. Coming up with that plan, every character is unique. You really do need to look at, okay, I'm weak here, so what are we gonna do? Hey everyone, if we are dealing with a bunch of ranged combatants and flying enemies that have ranged attacks, can we deal with that? And you might find two people are like, yeah, we can, and two people are like, well, no, we can't. So you now have a problem, because if the enemies are clever enemies and they realize there's only two people here that can really do anything to us, we're just going to focus on those two. Well, part of the combat resource in this game is your hit point pool. And you've basically cut that hit point pool in half if two people really aren't viable targets. Now, again, that's if your GM is playing extremely tactically. If they're a kind GM, they're like, oh, they're attacking these guys, even though they can't really affect the combat at all. And we've all been there as GMs. We've done that because we're like, ooh, they're not gonna make it if I don't pull some punches here. And that's usually done in, oh wow, this guy's still got 80% of his hit points. Let's go after him. So really assessing situations, especially based on the situation you're in. Maybe you guys are going underground and flying opponents really aren't that big a deal, so you don't need to worry about that. But as you get higher level, you're like, so what do we do if someone gets swallowed whole? Do we have a plan for that? Or is it just, cross your fingers, hope for the best? If your low athletics spellcaster gets swallowed, they're in a world of hurt. They can try cast that spell, but after that, they start to suffocate. And yeah, it goes from bad to worse. So, there's a lot of things that can happen out there. The world is a dangerous place, and you must be prepared. So check out items. There are swallow spikes, having a good, light item that deals as much damage as you can to cut yourself out, or having that really good athletics, so that you can do that. Looking at if there's any consumables that can help boost that type of thing. Anything that maybe, oh, I can drink this and turn into a gaseous form. That way I'm not even affected by this type of thing. Potions, spells, things like that. So it's good to have these, little backup plans tucked away and just get to the point where you guys, that you're all going to have weaknesses, and identifying each person's weakness. If that fighter, barbarian, or anyone with a good athletics, good constitution scores, you see that monster that has that ability to swallow whole, you need to get over there and get in front of that monster and be its target. Because if it swallows someone that can't get out, the monster has effectively completely eliminated a character from that fight, which can be devastating depending on how challenging that fight can be. So you just want to be prepared, and you want to have the necessary items or plan of what you're going to do. And sometimes that plan is run away. That, you're like, hey, we can't deal with this. We need to regroup. We need to get some things, and we need to make a plan so that we can deal with that. So yeah, it can be fun. And that's one of the parts I love about the game, is just making a character that can cover these situations. I've said numerous times on our podcast, things like that, versatility is king, that you have a character that can do all of these different things. So, talk with your group, find out what strategies are going to work for you guys, find out your weak spots, and figure out how to shore them up some. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this episode, and until next time, game well, my friends.